Hey guys, this is Joy. I'm back. Woo, y'all. Hurricane Beryl tried to take me out last week in addition to the rest of Houston and greater Houston, but we are here. Let me get you all here on Instagram. I'm trying to get my bearings back because listen, I'm just y'all. I mean, I've been through a number of storms in Houston, but this one definitely felt different and had me questioning my long-term relationship with this city. And I'm just kind of I think I'm kind of over it, guys. And I took a poll on I took a poll on Instagram about where I should live, and a lot of you said Charlotte. I put Atlanta, Charlotte, LA, and New York. I'm a city girl at the end of the day, but the older I get, the more I do want a little bit of peace and quiet. So that's why, Charlotte is on there because I used to want to live in Charlotte. So I don't know, guys. I'm really rethinking Houston because the way that they handled things, I'm not happy about it. And I was without power for 5 days, and there are still people without power. So I'm praying for those people because it's no fun, and especially for people who have kids and dogs. I had a little Gigi, but it's just, it's just real ghetto out here in these Houston streets. So, anyway, but welcome back to Sip with Joy. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming back for another season. Because y'all know I'll be ready to give up every single episode. But this is Sip with Joy. If you're just joining for the first time, a show about a girl, her wine, and her feelings. And I am that girl. I am your host, Joy M. Hutton. And I'm a serial entrepreneur and lover of food and wine. And speaking of wine, I'm going to have my glass every time. So today I'm drinking a dry sparkling rosé. It is from France. So I'll tell you more about this on Instagram at Sip with Joy on my sip of the day every week. And I got to take my sip. Okay. So today's episode is called Don't Get It Twisted. All right. Because people be out here playing. A lot of people have preconceived notions about you when they have no idea what you've been through or are still going through. And there is a lot of truth to don't judge a book by its cover because you really don't know what people are going through. So today I am excited because I'm joined by JeNae Johnson, best-selling author and CEO of CTM Unlimited. Because when I tell you she has a story, woo! So I can't wait to talk to her. So let me go ahead and bring JeNae on. Hey,
There I am. Let me
JeNae.
get in the frame. Let me
Yes.
get right in the frame.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here with you.
I
I've been
know.
looking forward to this.
Listen, me too. We had a conversation. We were like, listen, we have got to get together. And,
Hmm.
we hopped on Zoom because
Indeed.
life be lifing.
But
But I'm glad we did that because it resulted in an organic conversation about what's going on. And
mhm,
you have this book, which we'll talk about later. So
yeah.
before we get into all that, though, what you sipping on?
Well, because I knew whose show I was coming on, I had to make sure I came correct.
Yes.
I too have selected a rosé. It is a vintage
Okay,
2022.
vintage. All right. Yes.
So yeah, it's just what we had in the office. So yeah,
I
but
love
that
it.
is what I'm sipping on today.
Yes.
So
Well,
cheers.
cheers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, JeNae. So tell us a little bit about you.
All right. So listen, you're gonna have to probably cut me off because not because I love just talking about myself, but because I'm like, well, my story is so complicated. Even who I am in
Yes.
the world, it feels very complicated.
I love it.
But I'll start with the things that you already said. So my name is JeNae Johnson. I'm based here in Houston, Texas. I too have been looking for some alternatives to get out of Houston after this debacle of the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, but I digress. We can talk about that in another episode.
Right.
But I am the CEO of CTM Unlimited. We're a human capital consulting firm. Most of our clients are Fortune 100 companies, but we really work on culture within organizations. And we are on a mission to create legendary workplaces
Mm,
that are productive and profitable.
love
And
that.
so that is the consulting side. I am also a best-selling author recently, so I'm gonna flash the book. I'm gonna flash this.
Yes.
That's the
Come
book.
on, rise up.
A book. It's called Rise Up. So I signed on at the end of, not even the end of last year, like maybe fall of last year, to do a co-authorship project with Lisa Nichols.
Yes.
A lot of you may know her from everywhere. I mean, she's been all over, but
Mm-hmm.
she's been on Oprah, Dr. Phil, etc. But she
Yes.
is a world-renowned speaker and author. And I got an opportunity, along with some other amazing co-authors, to do a co-authorship with her. But the book is really a collection of stories about overcoming things that seem
Mm,
impossible. Like,
yes.
how are you ever gonna get over that? Or how are you ever gonna get past that?
Mm,
And so because I have a lot of those stories in my life, I felt like, okay, God is calling me to share this now. And there's
yes.
somebody who needs to hear it. And so I wrote about some of those stories in the book. And recently, I've been talking a lot about them. I also am a big advocate for Black women and their mental health. And
Mm,
so it's something that I'm actively participating in, speaking out about it, and also sharing some of my own challenges and solutions that I found for my own mental health. So
right.
that's a little bit about me. Besides the fact that I'm married and got a gang of kids, it's like 5 of them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, so that's me. They're all ages. Like my oldest is 21 and my youngest will be 3 on Friday.
Wow.
So go ahead, and I would not recommend my life to anybody. I'm gonna be honest with you. That is not for everybody.
So let's talk about that because you are an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, you are a wife, a mother. What are some common misconceptions about you?
Yeah, so I think the first one that comes to mind, Joy, and this is something that I hear a lot. People are like, "JeNae, how do you do it all?" And I'm quick to say, I do not.
Mm,
Period. I do not do it all.
yeah.
I don't even do it most. Like if I'm really
You
being
say I don't
honest.
even do it most.
I don't. And there was someone years ago, I heard a speaker talking about this concept of strategic mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yes, that's what I need to adopt for my life. So basically, what it means is that we try and we wear ourselves out trying to be excellent at everything and trying to get 10 out of 10 on everything, especially for those of us who are high achievers. We have big goals, big dreams, big vision. But that strategic mediocrity means that, guess what? The clothes are clean, but they're going to sit in the basket for a few days because I'm not going to be able to get to them. But I did spend time with my 6-year-old reading a story to him at night. And that was more important than folding those clothes up and putting them away. So for me, it's really thinking about, like, how do I do the things that matter most in the business, in my marriage, with my kids, in life, in the world, taking care of myself, with my friends, whatever the case is. And then everything else, either it's going to be mediocre or it's going to get outsourced. So I do ask for help. I do hire help to help me. So I'm not trying to do everything myself. And if I could share anything with somebody, like, hey, make sure you do that. Like, stop trying to take on the whole weight of the world on your
Right.
own. And so that's one of the misconceptions. I think the other, and Joy, you and I have talked about this, and people who have been in business for a while, they understand this, and they're gonna feel me when I say it. But what happens is you get some kind of, acknowledgement or accolade about, oh, your company won an award, or there's
Yeah.
something that is an indicator of success,
Mm-hmm.
and automatically people think you got that cash. Or they might even find out, like, oh, your company was certified at a level that means you made more than $1 million. That
Right.
is gross revenue.
Yeah.
That is not
These
net
are
profit.
operations.
Yeah, these
Okay.
are operations. So
Overhead cost.
people don't understand. So they'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, well, because you balling. Time out. JeNae is not balling. The company not even balling.
Right.
But understand, like, we have expenses to
Yeah.
grow. It costs money to grow. And so what I found is that it's really refreshing to be able to talk to other business owners and entrepreneurs who
Right.
understand that and who get that. But those are some of the misconceptions that I hear most commonly.
Yeah. So do you feel like there is a such thing as balance?
Balance? What's
Like, what is
that?
that?
What is balance?
Ooh, okay.
So I think people really again wear themselves out trying to achieve that. I
Yeah.
believe that balance is something that although we have good intentions of like I want to make sure I'm not spending too much time on any one activity and not neglecting something that's really important.
Yeah.
I found that life is more about ebbs and flows than about balance. It's
Mm,
about there are going to be seasons where I'm hyper focused in one area. And then there are
right.
going to be seasons where I'm hyper focused in some other area. And I have to be okay with that and understanding that it's not so much of a balance, but it is an ebb and flow and it is about seasons. And something that I like to do is just evaluate by quarter, like, okay, well, where is my time and energy been going?
Right.
And am I over allocated in one area? And then I make an adjustment and move on.
Yeah. My mom said, my clothes are still in the basket. And Elsie said, I can definitely relate. If I am tired, those clothes may stay in the dryer and those
Listen,
dishes in the sink. Yeah, I mean,
hello.
something is always going to give. I mean, we were talking about this before we got on. Your business may be thriving, but the house may be looking a mess. you
Hmm.
know. So,
And it
okay, I
is
just want to
something.
make sure you guys can hear me walking into her. Hey, Elsie. Hey, listen, it's no echo, guys. Did you all hear that? No echo. Listen,
Yay.
okay, no echo, but then someone was saying my sound low. So hopefully the sound has leveled out. I don't know because my mom said the sound was fine. So hopefully we good
Okay.
on that end. And listen,
Okay.
girl, I told you this podcast be trying to take me out. Um, but okay, so walking into her said you can hear you great. Wonderful. Listen,
Okay.
y'all don't know how
Okay.
refreshing that is.
Okay. Good.
Cause I'm like, good. So yeah, but something is always going to give, and I always think the topic about balance is so debatable because what does that
Hmm.
really mean? I think that
Yeah,
you know everybody expects things to be even. They will never be even.
they
Even
won't.
if your relationship is great, then maybe you missing a meeting with some teammates, your staff. Maybe I
Mhm.
mean it just like you said, it ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So speaking of, business, do you feel like clients or business partners have underestimated you due to preconceived notions?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I think on the business side or client side, because we are in Houston, energy capital, we do a lot of business in energy and oil and gas. And so obviously we've had some very interesting, I'm gonna call them interesting, and I try not to name names unless they push me,
Right.
right?
Right.
So we've had some very interesting encounters with leaders in companies who have questioned kind of why are you here or what qualifies you to be in this space? What
Mm,
qualifies you as a consultant or a consulting firm to guide us down our path, whatever that is?
yeah.
Or even question, do you understand our business? Do you know our business? And what I've found and what I've learned even in my career before I started the business is that I always went above and beyond to really understand the business before I ever decided to consult on the business, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Hmm.
So if I'm consulting on talent, I still need to understand the entire value chain of that business.
Right.
But a lot of that is because as a Black woman, I know I'm going to be underestimated, right? So when you try me and you start with these questions, I'm going to have more answers and then more questions
Hello.
for you. And then you're going to shut that down. Like, real.
Exactly.
So
That's
I found that.
it.
Now, here's what I will say. Some people, I just let them be. So they
Hmm.
have some preconceived notion about me. They have some misconception about me based on what they think they know. And depending on who they are,
Yeah.
one of my favorite quotes is, let whoever think whatever.
Mm.
That is one of my
Okay.
favorite quotes. Because it's like,
I
oh, that's what you
love
think?
that.
Okay, cool. Great, wonderful.
Yeah.
But like it has no bearing on what I'm doing. And if you're not someone who's close to me and someone that I truly value the relationship, or we don't have some kind of strategic value to give to each other,
Yeah.
then people are gonna think what they think. Like
Hmm.
I can't really control that, and I'm not gonna wear myself out trying to control it either.
Absolutely. And that was actually going to be my next question to you, like, how do you deal with people who have those misconceptions about you or those preconceived notions? Do you challenge them or do you just let it go? So you answer that, because
Yeah.
sometimes no response is a response. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not about to do this with you. I don't have
I'm
to
about to play with
explain.
you
Right.
today.
I don't have
Yeah.
to. I don't have to explain
Oh,
anything to you. So,
nothing.
I love that. I love that. Let's see. My mom said the sad part is that people will always feel that way when it comes to Black people. Period. We are usually more
Mhm.
qualified and more intelligent than the person who is asking the stupid questions.
Hello. Come on,
Right.
mama, get the truth
Right.
today.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Um, so how important, because going through these things is not easy. Being an entrepreneur, being
Mhm.
a mom, being a wife, all these different things that you are juggling is not easy. So how important is a support system for you, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so critically important, and I'll give you a real life example that just happened yesterday. And shout out to my good friend Angelica Harrell, because when I say she caught me yesterday when I was falling, like
Mm,
literally did. And sometimes you have those people in your life where they can speak a word, they can pray for you, pray over you, pray with you. They can give you simple strategies like, hey, have you considered this, considered that? And so, as I mentioned, and also Joy, as you mentioned, this last week was very, very stressful.
mm-hmm.
And I'm that person that we were living out of our master bedroom
Yeah.
for the better part of a week. And when I say we, not just my husband and I, but our two boys and our two big dogs,
Mm.
like everybody in one room. And I'm talking
Wow.
about, this is dinner, this is breakfast, this is lunch, this is working, this is sleeping, this is
Yeah.
getting dressed in the morning. And so I was just
Yeah.
frazzled, frazzled.
Mm.
And so any other stressor, I was dealing with a stressful situation yesterday, and I saw my friend at church,
Mm-hmm.
and she could look at me and was like, she said, "Here, go over here. Let's talk. Like
Right.
we're gonna talk." And she spent time really pouring into me. And it made a world of difference, because even though when I went back home, those lights were still not on, I was able to cope on a different level. Because before that, I was spazzing. I was just like, I can't, like, I just simply cannot do this anymore. Because
Right.
anything stressful happening, and then you don't have electricity, or you don't have internet, you don't have cool air, like whatever the case is, it just makes it worse.
Yeah.
So that's critically important. And I thank God that I have friends like that who can catch me and not judge me, and not also try
Mm-hmm.
to impose whatever they got going on into the conversation, but really listen, process, and be able to support me in that. I think from a business perspective, I've learned to pay attention when other people are doing things that are really dope,
Yeah.
really say like, hey, I want to learn for you. Now let me say this asterisk, I am not hitting them up in their inbox like, oh, let me take you to coffee so I can pick your brain.
Uh, Girl, don't get
Not
me started. I listen.
not doing that.
Whew, if I could charge $1 for every time
Come on
somebody
now.
said that, I would have a
Me too.
significant amount of pocket change.
Yes, exactly. I could fill my tank up
Yeah.
with gas. Like I could.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not that, but it's more so about being in community with people who are
Yes.
like-minded. And it's not so much that they're necessarily ahead or behind you, but they just might be doing something different.
Right.
And so I do have a small community of entrepreneurs and CEOs who are also Black women, who are
Mm-hmm.
also wives and mothers, and we're able to pour into each other. But when I say small, that group chat got like 4 people in it.
Listen,
Okay.
okay.
it's not
Got about
it's
two and a
not
half
like
friends, okay?
you didn't say it's 2.5, because I mean it's not. I can't get that or give that energy
Yeah.
to everybody, right? And I'm clear about that. But those are some of my support systems. And then, last but certainly not least, I have to shout out my husband, because he's a G. Like
Yeah.
the way that he like goes to bat for me, supports me, even when I'm doing stuff that puts a strain on him. So it's like, oh, I got to travel for 4 days. And yes, we have, a part time nanny that comes in and helps, but he's still the primary parent for those 4 days
Right.
with two boys. So, and he works full time too. So he never complains. He's always like, babe, I'm rooting for you. And
Yeah.
that's rare, because I definitely was in relationships long ago that person would have thrown a fit. Like they
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have been rooting for me at all.
Yeah.
So
And you
those are
say
some of
you
my.
have a 3-year-old.
He's not even 3 yet, child. He'll be
Oh,
3 on Friday.
ooh, Jesus.
Yes, yes.
I'm like, wait, what, Janae? When you told me you were having a baby, when you announced that you were having a baby, you were like, listen,
I was.
I don't know. I just don't know.
I
21
mean,
to 3. Like, what?
listen, I because my life is colorful, and I talk about it in the book. Like
Yeah.
in the book, I started off talking about how I was a senior at Howard University.
Yeah.
My daughter was maybe 3 months old, and I was sitting in the associate dean's office, basically like, I'm going to be here until we figure out a plan for me to graduate this academic year.
Wow.
Like, I can't come back for another semester. I understand what you're saying about I need this prerequisite and this class not offered to the spring. And
Yeah.
I can't really process that. I'll be like, you see this baby right here? I got to be go- like,
Right.
I
I
gotta
need
go.
this education. Right.
Like I gotta get this diploma and get up out of here. I am not
Yeah.
coming back. Love Howard, but I cannot come back.
Right.
And so in the book, I talk about that, and really, my segment of the book talks about there's always going to be a no in front of you, but
Mm,
there's a miracle on the other side of the no. So
yes.
I had to defy the no for the miracle. And that was the
Mm,
first defiance of the no, because they told me I was not going to graduate until, I don't know, a semester. I don't know. I really didn't listen. I was just like,
yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what y'all talking about, but whatever you
Right.
have to do. And I mean, I got all kinds of overrides. They let me take classes out of order. I took 22 credits both semesters of my senior year. I had my daughter, I was breastfeeding her, and I was
Mm.
working work study on campus,
Oh
like
my
20 hours.
gosh.
So, and then in the spring, I got pregnant again,
Mm. Woo.
like 6 weeks before graduation.
What?
Yes. And
Janae.
I know you would think I would have learned, but it just, I don't know. And side note, I was
Right.
on birth control with both of them kids. Okay.
Wow. Listen, they failed you.
Failed me. That pill, trash.
Right.
Like, just didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, so and it was a very stressful situation because their dad basically, I mean, literally looked me in the face and was like, "You're on your own.
Mm.
You decide to keep these kids. It's on you. Just know that."
Wow.
And unfortunately, fast forward 21 years later, he actually lived up to that. Unfortunately. And it's
Mm.
unfortunate for him because they're great kids, because these same two kids that I got pregnant with at Howard,
Yeah.
they are now engineering students. One is about to
Wow.
graduate in May.
Yes.
They're both on paid internships this
Come on,
summer.
mama.
Come on now. I mean, I'm talking about making $25 an hour. And I
Yes,
said, wait, time out.
listen.
Yeah, how old are you?
Right.
Making real money? Like they so that's the fast forward. So
Yeah.
people see the good things like, oh, your daughter, she's doing so amazing. And I mean, Anaya is a Black woman working in heavy manufacturing as an engineer. It's
Nice.
like unheard of,
I
right?
love it.
She's excelling. She's like dean's list, chancellor's list at North Carolina A&T.
Yeah.
My son, mechanical engineer, on an internship. After his freshman year, he got an
Yeah.
internship offer. So he's
That's
out doing
awesome.
that. And that's one of those things where people can see that part, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you what actually happened
Right.
before all of that. Like this was amazing. However, going back to what I wrote about in the book, there were
Mm-hmm.
a lot of no's. And there
Yeah.
were a lot of things in society. And if we look at historically in our community, we should have been a statistic.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't have graduated. They were gonna be quote unquote at risk because their dad was not around. They were
Right.
gonna end up in some kind of crime or vice or whatever. You know what I mean? Like if we look
Yeah.
at the statistics. So first I have to thank God for that, for just the deliverance from that. But also
Yeah.
it was about pushing past that no for the miracle that was on the other side.
Mm-hmm. You know, I saw Sarah Blakely post something today, and then someone else said something the other day. I think I was talking to one of my best friends, Lydia. It was about, think of what you prayed for, what you dreamed about 5 to 10 years ago, and where you are today. You
Yeah.
know, it's like you prayed or you dreamed about where you are today. Now think about where you're going to be in 5 to 10 years. So when you said that,
Mhm.
it made me think about that, because it's like, it didn't start that way, but where it is right
Mhm.
now, you prayed for this or you dreamed about, one of your kids to be in a certain place. And so it's just amazing when we look back at something, we're like, whoa, I actually
Whoa.
made it through that. I
Mhm.
overcame that. I don't know how, but I
Can't
did.
believe it.
it's, it's just, I
Can't
mean,
even believe
disbelief, and you have to take a step back and think about those things, because a lot of times we're just we're thinking about the next thing before we can even relish in the current moment.
it's so
We're
true.
always thinking about
Yeah,
what's next, and it's like, wait a minute, sit in the now,
I
you
know.
know. And I think a lot of the times we have a hard time doing that because I think just life around us is moving so fast, so a lot of the
Mhm.
times it's hard to slow down, and we
Yeah.
can't often appreciate the now, because we're like, well, wait, okay, I got this accolade, but now, well, I got to do
Mhm.
this. Like even with your book, I'm sure people are asking you, well, what's the next book going to be about? Can I
Right.
celebrate this book right here?
How
Can
do
I
you know?
can I just sit in this right here right now?
Oh,
Like,
it's like, and I appreciate that they want more,
yeah,
but
but it's like,
yet
let me
also people,
celebrate this right
yeah, and
now.
I'm not good at that already. So when
Yeah.
people ask me that, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, what am I gonna do next? And what is the next book about? And so I've had to. It's something that I still work on.
Yeah.
And look, shout out to every therapist out there who's doing the Lord's work. But I love my therapist
Right.
because my therapist will be like, JeNae, can you acknowledge that this was a good thing, that this was something that was successful?
Mhm.
And I'm always like, yeah, but what about this and what about that? And I could have done this better. And she
Yes.
like forces me, I need you to celebrate what this was
Yeah.
and what this is. And you are doing amazingly well in life
Yeah.
for someone with your experience, your background, even the mental health challenges that you've had. You are doing amazingly well
Yeah.
for someone in that profile. And for me, it's always like, yeah, but I know what my potential is. I know what the vision is that God has given me
Right.
for my life. And this is only like a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's hard for me to celebrate. It's something that I'm really working on.
I think a lot of us have to work on that, so you're not alone, because I am
Yeah.
also a work in progress, and I struggle with that. But I think it is because not necessarily the pressure that I put on myself, but I think the pressure that other people also put on me.
Hmm.
So the next question is, how do you manage expectations placed on you by friends, family, peers?
Yeah, I think for that, I'll be honest with you, it's something that is a work in progress because I don't think I have that figured out, right? And I could sit here and say like, "Oh, I don't care what people think," but that's not true. Like there now let me be clear, there's a lot of people that I don't care what they think, but there are some people that I do care, their opinion matters whether it's right or wrong. And so I think when I feel that pressure from like, well, what is this person going to think if I do this? Or, when they question me in certain ways, it's something that sometimes it does make me withdraw. I'll be honest. Where I feel like, okay, I don't have an answer to that question. And so I'm just going to pull away. But I don't think that that is the best way to deal with it, right? I think that when you have that pressure, one, you have to remind yourself about what you know about you. And whatever those affirmations are that you have to say to yourself about what you know about you, you have to affirm yourself first. And then, secondly, it's okay to lovingly correct the people around you who you do value and say, like, hey, when you ask these questions or when you say something like this, it makes me feel like X. And likely they don't even know that they're doing it.
Right.
Most people are not maliciously out to get you. That's not the case, but they don't even know that with the questions that they ask or the things that they say to you, that they're putting pressure on you.
Yeah.
And for me, and I think a lot of us who have big visions, big goals, and are high achievers, we will always put more pressure on ourselves than anyone else outside of us will. And so
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I actually don't need you to put pressure on me. I'm putting enough pressure on myself.
Absolutely. Listen, and
And
I
so I got
definitely
to
do.
figure that
I
out.
whoop my own ass. I don't need nobody else to do it for me. you
Exactly.
know, it's like I
Exactly.
don't need anybody else. Truly, I don't need anybody else to do it. And I've had friends that I've had to, let go, because it's like, listen, you don't kick somebody when they're down. There's a
Yeah.
way to give feedback and love. There's a
Hmm.
way to um, address, any concerns that you may have, but you don't kick a person when they're down. And some
Yeah.
people, may not have malicious intent, but then there are those that do, who may be
True.
jealous of you, or who
Hmm.
are miserable with their own lives. And it's like, look, I
Yeah.
can't help you. I'm
And
trying to help myself. I can't help you. If you got issues with me, that's not my problem. That's a
yeah.
you problem.
And I
So
think I'm so surprised at that when
yeah.
I have found myself in those situations
Mhm.
because it's definitely happened. And I'm just like, okay, I'm so busy trying to get myself together. I don't have time to be over here interested in what somebody else is doing, let alone try to sabotage what they're doing or be jealous of it.
Yeah.
So when I see people who are doing things like, I'm looking at your podcast, Mike, and I'm like, oh, Joy, I love your whole setup. So when I do like my LinkedIn Live podcast, I need to get a setup like that.
I got
So I'm
you.
gonna have a conversation with you, like, hey girl, like
Yeah.
this, I love what you're doing. So it's not
Mhm.
like me sitting here like Joy thinks she's somebody because she got that podcast. Like, you know what I mean? Because I just like that's not my default. So when it happens to me, I am genuinely confused. I'd be like, wait,
Yes.
what? Like you so you don't like me? Why? Because
Yeah.
what? Like I
Because of
just
you, because of them. It's not you.
yes.
And
Yeah.
I've had to realize it too. I'm like, it's not me, it's you.
Mhm.
Like you're clearly, whatever experiences you've had in life
Yep.
make you feel a certain way about me. I don't know, maybe I look like somebody that did you wrong, or I don't know what it is, but
Could be a trigger. You never
it
know.
and that's something that I have started to understand too. There's a book called The Four Agreements. I've talked about it on the podcast before,
Yep.
but it really helped me understand about taking things personally because it may have nothing to do
Mhm.
with you. And
I know.
our response to people is usually because of our own experiences, and vice versa. And so we really have to take a step back before we want to beat a hoe down,
Yeah.
before we just want to go ham on somebody. Well, actually, no, I'm not even going to
Yeah.
give energy to that. And so
Yeah.
I've had to do the same, but it took me a while to get to that place, because especially
Mhm.
coming from a family where my parents had high expectations for me, and then that carried throughout my academic career, even my professional career. Like, you breed a lot of perfectionists. Our parents
Mhm.
bred a lot of
It's true.
perfectionists in our
It's
generation,
true.
because they said you could be whatever you want, you're gonna go to school and
Yep.
get these good grades, you're not going to embarrass us, all these different things, and
Mhm.
it breeds perfectionists. But then you grow up, and you grow up into a type A
Yeah.
perfectionist,
Mhm.
psycho
Right.
entrepreneur.
I was gonna say, and then you end up stressed out. You got
Yeah.
all kinds of mental health issues. You're dealing with
Mhm.
anxiety, depression
Yeah.
because
Listen.
you didn't give yourself enough grace, and no one taught you how to give yourself grace either.
Yes.
And that's something where I love my parents and aunties and grandparents, all of them from that generation, but giving yourself grace was something that I never heard until I was well into adulthood. It
Same.
was not something that it was like, hey, well, you know what? You really have to like process this differently. And yeah, you might feel like that you're down about this, but give yourself some grace
Yeah.
because these are the reasons. Like I never heard that or even how to speak to myself
Mhm.
like I would a good friend who's going through something.
Yeah.
I didn't learn that until, listen, like I said, shout out to all the therapists because I believe in therapy and I've
Mhm.
had plenty of different therapists and they have like, hey, you need to stop talking to yourself like somebody that you don't like.
Ooh.
Talk
Ooh.
to yourself like you would a good friend. Like
Mm.
somebody who was like, if you came in like, hey, JeNae, I'm going through this, this is happening. Immediately, I'm gonna be like, Joy, what resources can I send you that will
Yeah.
help you get out of this space? And Joy, you are enough. And Joy, you can do this. And Joy, I've seen you overcome. So
Mhm.
I would immediately go into that mode,
Yeah.
but then
Mhm.
we won't do it to
We
ourselves.
don't.
We won't do it to ourselves.
Ooh. Ooh.
We won't.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
We will say like JeNae was. I mean, literally, my biggest challenge in my thought life is
Yeah.
getting away from that question of JeNae, what's wrong with you, or why
Mm.
didn't you do this, or why
Yes.
haven't you done that, or why is it taking you so long to figure out X, or
Wow.
you know better. Why would you continue to make this mistake? Like to get out of
just
that thought.
beating,
Just
just
beat
beating your,
myself
yeah,
up.
just beating yourself up.
But if it's you, Joy, I got you, girl.
Right.
What you need? Scriptures, affirmations. I'm
Right.
gonna send you
But
some
we're
YouTube videos.
fixers. We're
Yeah,
fixers. You know, even when we had talked, you were like, "How can I help?" And I'm like, I don't know. You know, I'm really not good at answering that question because I am the helper, I'm the giver, I'm the
yeah,
fixer,
me
I'm the
too.
problem solver. So it's
Hmm.
always difficult for me to answer that question. And I am working on that, but it's hard for me to answer that question
Yeah.
because I'm used to doing for others, but I
Hmm.
have to allow people to also support me.
Yeah.
So I'm a work in progress, you know.
Girl, you and me both. Because the thing is, the reason why I asked you that is because I have a good friend. We went to Howard together, and we've been doing some business stuff over this last year. And he always asks, like, "Hey, what can I do to help?" And I'm like, "What you mean? Like, what you
Right.
want?" You know what I mean? It's very, and it always makes me like question. And I know, like, he is a good, like, genuine person. Like, he
Yeah.
genuinely means that. He's
Hmm.
proven that time and time again. But it's like I'm in your position where I'm like, help me?
Right.
How?
What does that mean? I don't
Like,
know.
I don't, yeah, no, I don't need anything. Knowing
Yeah.
that it's probably stuff I do need, but I'm
Right.
just not used to asking
Hmm.
or even used to receiving it. And that's
Exactly.
something that I'm working on being able to receive, like receive the
Yeah.
help, receive support, receive friendship from the right people who really are, who mean you well,
Yeah.
and are not, out to get you. So, girl, we, like I said, we're all a work in progress. I
Yes.
know I
We
definitely
are. Bless us. Okay.
am.
Okay. So, what do you want to be remembered for?
Ooh. That's a good one. I had decided to do like the dramatic side
Yes.
for
Just
that one.
a release.
Um, I think I want to be remembered for my boldness. I want to be remembered for my faith. I
Hmm.
want to be remembered as an example that no matter what your life might look like in front of you, it truly can be recognizable if you believe that it can be. Those are the things that I want to be remembered for, but not from me necessarily saying the words, but from how I live. Like, I want
Yeah.
other people to see my life and not look at it as like, oh, well, she's married and she has these kids and she's living this great life. I want them to see it from like, wow, I know what JeNae went through to get to this point.
Mm.
Because be clear, and I write about this in the book, I've lost a house, I've lost a car. I
Yeah.
was a struggling single mom for 13 years before I got married. I lost a baby, lost a fallopian
Mm.
tube, and almost lost my life.
Wow.
And I tell those stories like, and when I say almost lost my life, I'm talking about like was bleeding out because I had a fallopian tube rupture
Mm.
and they had to terminate the pregnancy and also remove my fallopian tube. So I didn't even know I was going to be able to have any more kids. This is
Right.
before I had my last two, right? So people look at my boys and they're like, "Oh, they're so cute, and oh, you're so blessed, you're so lucky," and I'm
Mm.
like, "Yes, however."
Yeah.
So those are things that I want people to remember. Like, wow, JeNae went through all these different things, and this is what's happening in her life and how her life is turning out. So regardless of where I am on my journey, I know I can keep moving because
Yes.
I've seen somebody firsthand who actually did it,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to be remembered for.
That. Ooh, girl, that gave me goosebumps. That gave me
Yes.
goosebumps. Thank you for sharing that. And let's see. Elsie said, I found out someone I thought was a friend was jealous of me and I didn't know why. My best friend had to tell me it's not always monetary. It could be because of other things
Mhm.
you have that she doesn't. And it's true. I
Yeah,
mean, you just never know what people's insecurities are, what people's traumas are, what
it's true.
you just never know. And like I'm at a point in my life, I'm like, listen, I can't unpack all of that for you. You're gonna
It's
have to
not your
get your
job.
own therapist because I got
Right.
mine. You know, you're
Right.
gonna have to unpack your
Exactly.
own stuff because I can't do it for you. And so it's just a lot of projecting, you know, that
Mhm.
happens in friendships and
Mhm.
relationships and all those things. And for me, I'm just like, I want to be surrounded by positive energy. I want to be surrounded by supportive people. And if you are not providing that for me, then I'm sorry, the cord has to be cut. I don't care
Yeah.
how
Right.
long
Listen.
we been together, time has been invested.
Well,
It
and
just
I think the
doesn't.
one and I think the one thing, Joy, and I think you can relate to this too. Sometimes people are jealous of you because you're free and they're not.
Mhm.
They can see
Yes.
the freedom. They see how you move
Yeah.
with an air of freedom. And
Mhm.
that could mean all kinds of things, right? It could be
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I see that Joy travels all the time and I don't get to travel. I feel stuck. I would like to
Mhm.
travel. I can't.
Right.
Or that you are pursuing these different entrepreneurial endeavors
Yeah.
in tech and other fields. And maybe that's something that they too want to do, but they feel stuck at their job.
Yeah.
They feel stuck in a career and they're not free.
Mm.
And so even though you had to take lots of risks to even do what you do in the world now, you are free.
Yeah.
And sometimes that alone is enough for someone to be jealous.
Yeah, that's true. But if they only knew, all that, all that glitters is not gold. Don't get it
Listen,
twisted, as the
don't get it
episode is
twisted.
called. Because
Mm-mm.
don't listen. I tell people all the time, you better know what you're doing before you get into entrepreneurship, and do not feel like you have to do this mess full time. Okay, because
Listen,
I listen. I miss 2 weeks, get paid every 2 weeks. And
me.
listen, I'm
Yes.
like, maybe sometimes I'm like, maybe I
Look,
should reconsider this
I
path.
quit a few times. Let's be clear. But I was just like, oh nah, this not for me. Or
Yeah.
I remember even when I was a contractor and I didn't really I had a company on paper. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
I would just hop from company to company doing
Mm-hmm.
third party consulting. And it seemed fun and I could set my schedule and I would go here, fly there and work from home way before COVID, all of
Mm-hmm.
those things. But it was also like, well, I remember I had one client, they owed me like, I don't know, $14,000, something
Mm.
like that. And let's be clear, there was no silver spoon anywhere. Like
Right.
there was no trust fund, there was none of these things, right?
Right.
And this was during a time when I was still a single mom. So there was
Mm.
one income,
Yeah.
mine. So $14,000, I can't just be like, oh, okay, no biggie.
Right.
And it was when I was like, oh, you know what? I might have to go get a job. And I did at one point when I was pregnant with my son Noah, who's 6 now.
Yeah.
I still have my business like on the side,
Right.
but I needed stability.
Yeah.
And thank God I actually had a company that I worked with that as a consultant. They approached me about a full-time role.
Right.
And it was right on time because I needed the stability, I needed the medical benefits, I
Yes.
needed the predictability. And so I tell people all the time, I'm not ever going to be that entrepreneur that is pushing everybody into entrepreneurship.
Yes. Definitely not.
Most people need to stay at their job. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Listen,
Like,
stay at your job.
stay at your job. Like, you got to
Do
be low key crazy to do this, to
You
live
got to
this
be
life.
just a little bit. I
Throw it
mean,
off, like a little
throw
bit.
it off.
Mhm. You do. It's true though. It's like, who would sign up
Uh,
for this? You
right.
know?
No, me and my friend Lydia talk about that. You just a little bit, a
Yeah.
little bit throw it off when
Little
you're an
quirky, little
entrepreneur.
off.
Some ain't
Yeah.
quite,
Yeah, because
connecting.
it don't really make sense, like in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of things.
Yeah.
And when you think about like having to be on. So even in that case, that scenario I told you about the $14,000 that they owed me, it wasn't like I could go to my accounts payable department and
Right.
be like, "Hey, can you make sure that this gets paid?" Or go to,
Your
the
accounts payable.
finance person.
Right.
Well, it was me.
Yeah.
I was everything. I was
You're
AP,
everything.
I'm finance, I'm HR,
Marketing,
I'm
all of
management,
it.
I'm marketing, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sales. I'm security. I'm
Right.
doing everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm everything.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, there's nobody. I can't escalate this
Yeah.
to any. I'm the escalation
Right.
point. What am I supposed to do?
Right, we're escalating this. Listen, I
Hmm.
look, one thing somebody taught me in business early on is to have aliases for your emails.
Yes.
Listen, you don't know I don't have an admin. You don't know if I don't have a legal department
Come
accounting.
on with the hack.
Listen, marketing at, legal at, accounting
Yes.
at. They don't
What?
know. Listen,
I
I'm
still do that.
CC, the accounting department.
Hmm.
So I tell new business owners, my coaching clients, that I'm like, listen, nobody has to know. Because
It's
when
true.
people feel like they're talking to you, they have no respect, and I'm
Mm-mm.
like, you go put some respect on my name
ASAP.
because Sally over here will contact you.
Listen, based on the number of, like, if you look at the number of people that I actually, like, physical people that I have on my
Yes.
team versus the number of emails that we have,
Yeah.
you would think we got 30 people, but we really got six.
Nobody has to know. Listen,
No.
nobody has to know. I tell people, listen, this is all optics. You don't have to know. Like, it's just
Mhm.
kind of like no one has to know what's going on inside of your house. You walk out
Yeah.
the house, you got it. You got it together, but nobody has to know what's going on inside of here.
Yeah.
That house could
Not
be
at all.
falling apart inside, but it looks good on the outside. Nobody has
Eh,
to know what the chaos is, but it's goes back to the name of this episode. Don't get it twisted. Don't think that someone's life may not be in shambles just because of
hmm.
how they look on the outside. Their
Yeah.
whole world could be falling apart. I remember like going through my divorce, and even when I lost my sister, like people were like, "Oh my God, you look so good." Well, what am I supposed to look like? Because y'all not gonna
Yeah.
see Joy M. Hutton looking crazy out here in the streets. It's
Yeah.
just not
Yeah.
gonna
I got a
happen.
brand to
Now, when
protect.
I'm at home, if you catch
Right.
me walking my dog, I might look a little sketchy, but
Right.
it's not for everyone to see. It's not
Hmm.
for everyone to know what's going on in your home or in the background of your house or your
Yeah.
business, and so there are some things that need to be protected, and setting boundaries and what have you. But it's true. Like, listen, I got some tricks for these new entrepreneurs. If you need some tips, I got some. I
Listen,
do free
and
business coaching. But look, but you have to, I think, I always hear people say, fake it till you make it, right? When you
mhm.
are starting out. But I think one of the things I admire about what you said earlier is you're not going into something blindly. You had a plan, you research clients, you're not just going in there. I don't believe in faking it until you make it all the time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't, that doesn't fly all the time.
Mhm.
You have to be prepared. Houston, y'all got to be
Hello.
prepared. Center
Centerpoint,
point,
leadership,
you got to be
like,
prepared.
we are
Get your shit together. You know,
ASAP.
so it's just you have to be prepared, and so I think you can always tell when someone's prepared versus being unprepared, and so I
Yeah.
do believe in that. I can wing some situations, but I don't live my life like that.
Yeah.
And some people are a little more risk averse. I am not that person.
Yeah, me neither. But I will
I'm too
say
scary.
something that you said about the preparation. I remember I had a mentor years ago, and he talked about the importance of hustling in the dark.
Yeah.
He was like, before you are in the spotlight, like
Hmm.
before you are facing the masses, before you are client facing, before you are on somebody's platform, it's important for you to, like, basically get your shit together
Yeah.
behind the scenes, like figure things out,
Yes.
test things out. Like, it's so important to do that. And then to be ready, because the opportunity is going to come.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you desire, whatever it is that you want, that opportunity is going to come.
Absolutely.
But if you have not been hustling in the dark, you are going to fail in the light.
Ooh.
You got to, like, get your hustle together in the dark. Like,
Yes.
no one is watching. And that's
Ooh.
why when we see people who are a quote unquote overnight success, they are not.
They are
They
not. It
literally
doesn't
have been hustling.
exist.
It does not exist. They didn't just wake up one day and be like, "Ooh, I'm about to be successful. Watch me do it."
Yeah.
No, that's not how if you read any of their stories, you can pick anyone, whether it's entertainment, politics, business, I don't care what it
Hmm.
is. They started from very humble beginnings. They
Yes.
did things, they figured it out. And then at some point they had an opportunity, but they got really good at their craft. They
Yeah.
got really clear about what their value was that they were offering to the world. So when it was time, they were ready. So to
Right.
us, it looks like an overnight success,
But it is
but
not.
they've been doing it for years.
Yeah. And even when, because I see some businesses where it's like, oh, in a year they made $1 million or whatever. But
Yeah.
even with that person still had to have a certain career foundation to
Yes.
build that type of business, to build that cult following. Maybe they had,
Hmm.
they worked at the right company so that they can get experience to run that company, that
Correct.
got them this many sales in a year. I've seen these people who are had like, oh, it's a cult following in like a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may seem like an overnight success, but still, how long were they working on the product? And then what was their foundation before they got there? You have to look at people's
Hmm.
foundation. So, yeah, we overthink a lot of things, and comparison is such it's just such it's bad.
It is it
It is
comparison.
evil, and
It's the thief of all joy.
it
It will steal your
is.
joy.
And so I'm just like, we cannot always compare ourselves to people because we don't know what their journey was. And
No,
when it's your time, it's your time.
right,
Everybody has a season. Like if everybody was winning at the same time, somebody got to lose, unfortunately. That's
right.
just
Then nobody's winning if everybody
right.
winning at the same time.
Everybody can't win at the same time,
It's
and
true.
so I've had to realize that too. Like, it ebbs and flows. You may have a high season, you
Mhm.
may have a low season. I'm like, whew, the low seasons are low, but the highs
Talk
are
about it.
high, you
Yeah.
know. And so in those low seasons or in that time where it may be slow, that's the time, the opportunity where you really need to take advantage of to
Hmm.
focus on what you need to be doing next. Because a lot of
Yeah.
time people take that time and they're depressed. They're like, I can't come out of it. But that's your season to rest and restore
Hmm.
and
And
reboot
create. That's
right
when
and
you
create.
can create
Yes,
amazing things
exactly.
when you're in that space where it's like, okay, this thing that I thought was going to work out, it didn't work out. This
Yeah.
contract that I thought was going to come through, it didn't come through. Or,
Mm-hmm.
we've had to downsize our business, whatever the case is. But a lot of times the most brilliant ideas, products, and services come out of that space.
Absolutely.
But it is about accepting and surrendering to what's happening in that moment, because a lot of times we're so busy like trying to fix it, fix it, fix it. And
Yes.
listen, I hear myself and Joy, I'm like, this not even me talking because I'm talking to
Right.
me. It's me. I'm talking. I'm not even talking to y'all
I
out
am the
there. I'm talking
problem,
to
right?
me.
Right.
I'm just like, I'm gonna have
Exactly.
to go back and watch the replay and
Right.
like
Just because you
listen
like,
to myself.
I need to tell me that,
I needed to tell me that. Where
So
it's like, instead of trying to fix it, like this is the time to you're gonna
yeah,
create something amazing in this period in space where you feel like some things are not working out how you plan for them to work.
absolutely. So speaking of that, w- talk about when your present reality looks nothing like your calling. Because I have fought God on some things, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not doing. I don't want to be this. I don't want to do that. And he's
Yep.
like, but you're good at it. You have a skill. You need to do
Yeah.
it. No, I don't want. I mean, when I tell you, me and God be, we just be
Going
duking,
at it.
we just be duking it out, and I'm like, Lord, not today,
Right, right.
But so, can you talk about that? Because I know it's something you wanted to mention. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, how do you sit in that? Because you're like, this is not what I plan. And, they say God
Mhm.
laughs at a plan, but it's not what I planned, but this is my calling.
Yeah, I will say this. I remember this was probably 2010, 2011, and it was the year after I had lost my house to foreclosure. I had to move in with my dad, my kids, and I. I didn't have a place to go. I felt very broken, and I felt like a failure, like I really did. And the first apartment that I moved into coming out of my dad's house it was spacious, but it was old, it was sketchy, it was nothing luxury about it. But
Yeah.
it was peaceful, it was safe, but
Mm-hmm.
that's all it was. And I was in a process of rebuilding my life, and I still had this thing in my heart that God had placed there, like, JeNae, you are going to have a company one day. You
Mm.
are going to lead people. You are going to speak. You're going to write books. You're going to do all these things. But I could not see it because I was in such a broken place.
Yeah.
And I always have to give credit to my sister Nedra about this because she reminds me of this. And when I say I do not remember, but she said one day she came over to my apartment and I was sitting on the couch and I was writing on these post-it notes, and she asked me what I was doing, and I was like, "Oh, girl, I'm writing out what I'm about to do next. I'm writing out what
Mm.
this vision is. I'm writing out these dreams," and I would put them up on my bathroom mirror to
Mm.
see it. And this is the same bathroom mirror that the mirror was halfway falling off the wall. Like all the molding was kind of coming apart. Like it
Yeah.
was, again, it was not a luxury apartment. Let me
Yeah.
just emphasize that. And so she said that I told her that day that, like, one day people are going to pay me a lot of money to tell them what to do.
Mm.
And I was like, girl, I don't remember that. Like when I
Right.
said, do not remember it. But she
Yes.
reminds me of it. She was like, that's exactly what you said.
Yeah.
And this is before I started a company, before I became a consultant, any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I had the vision for it. So
Yes. Write a
what I
vision
would
and make it plain.
listen, what I would share with people
Yeah.
is, regardless of what it looks like, because mind you, I'm coming off of a foreclosure. I'm coming off of losing my car, getting it repoed and having to try to
Mm.
get it back, not having enough money to really like take care of my kids in the way that I wanted to take care of them,
Yeah.
and not really knowing how to get out of that, right? But what I would say is, regardless of what it looks like in front of you, if God is giving you a vision for your life, for your business, for your marriage, for your family, like whatever it is, hold on to that with your
Mm.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do not allow the present circumstances around you to detract you from what you already know in your heart and in your spirit that God has told you.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
being able to hold on to that in that time gave me the fuel that I needed to just take one step.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a snap my fingers and then I moved out of that apartment. No, I was in that apartment for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved to a townhouse. Then, like then it was like a slow
Yeah.
progression, but I still had that vision and I knew, like, God, you have more for me. I know that. And keep like latching onto that knowing actually allowed me to take small steps and then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes to take big steps.
Right.
But it's not ever looking around you to say, like, okay, well, I know that I'm supposed to, let's say if I'm like, I know I'm supposed to live in a house with 5 bedrooms, but currently I'm in this 2 bedroom apartment. So whatever that is, I can't believe in 5 bedrooms because
Yeah.
I'm only seeing two.
Right.
It's like you might see two, acknowledge where you are, but two can turn into three, can turn into four, can turn into five.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that from the sense of like just a very practical sense, but whatever your thing is, it may not be, hey, I want to move in a big house, but it might be something else. You got to hold on to that thing that's in your heart and in your
Mm.
spirit.
Yeah.
And understanding that what we see in front of us, pushing past that, there is a miracle on the other side. And that's what I experienced. Because had I just accepted it and said, well, I thought I was going to do something great, but looks like I'm not. So I guess
Yeah.
I'll just be content with this.
Mm-hmm.
Then I may still be in that apartment.
Wow.
I
Ooh.
might.
Girl, listen. Do y'all see why she's a best-selling author? Listen, the words coming out of this woman's mouth. I hope you all are listening. So many gems that you have dropped. So we have the book. We have the business. I dropped the link in the chat, guys, for you to get the book. And you can find JeNae at J the word guru. So fitting. On
Self-proclaimed.
Instagram. Yes, on Instagram. She's also very active on LinkedIn, so you can find her
Yes.
there too. I'm like, I need to step my LinkedIn game up. Janae be
You know, I be out there
she's such
talking
a
crazy to them.
storyteller. She be get where you be getting people's lies, snatching people edges on LinkedIn. I'm like,
What?
I love
I,
how she
you know,
talks to
LinkedIn.
people. I'm like, she
When
just
I
be
talk to them, it's
snapping.
conversational. I'll be like, listen, this is very ghetto around here, and this is what you need to do about your leadership.
Yes,
Like,
about
it's
your
like
leadership. Exactly. I'm like, I need to take some storytelling tips from JeNae because I be, I'm working on putting myself back out there. I have a friend and he's always like, Joy, the people need to hear from you. I'm like, I know, but I
the
don't.
people do need to hear from you, Joy. I'm gonna like, echo what Friend is saying. Friend is right. The people need to hear from you. You have lots to share with the world, and I
I
understand
know.
it's easy to be like, well, I'm
I'm like,
not
y'all
sure.
can see me on a podcast on Monday.
I mean,
But
and
I
that's a
know
start.
I need to do better. And especially from a business perspective, I need to be better about putting myself out there because I
Yeah,
got a lot to say.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I have to figure out a way that works for me. Like this is
yeah.
more like personal journal. Like this is like I'm talking
Yeah.
about my feelings. On LinkedIn, I'm like,
Mhm.
ooh, can I talk about my feelings there
But
too?
can I tell you something about that, Joy? Can I for real? And I
Yes.
want everybody who's even like, oh, I have a business. I probably need to be on LinkedIn, but I'm not really on it.
Yeah.
The most traction that I got from any of my posts on LinkedIn are the ones that have nothing to do with business.
Wow.
I'm not talking about anything around leadership or talent
Yeah.
or team effectiveness or productivity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about my kids. I'm talking about my friends. I'm talking about how I have observed certain things in the
Right.
workplace. And I'm sharing, I'm like, oh, y'all, I'm over here doing this. I'm talking about whatever I'm up to.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where people have connected, and it's even resulted in new business
Yeah.
because people really do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Right. The
And so there
authenticity.
are,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the
people feel like they know
vulnerability.
you. Right. Cause I'm very much, my LinkedIn posts are very conversational.
Yes, they
Because
are.
even when I talked about what we were doing tonight, I was like, y'all, this week has been very ghetto. These
Right.
are all the things. I was over it, but I'm not gonna talk about that right now. What I am gonna
You
talk about
did.
is I'm about to get on here with
You
Joy.
did. I was like, I
Y'all need to
like
tap
that. I
in.
like the
Yeah.
spin. I'm taking some tips, I'm taking some pointers. I was like, I need to
Yeah.
get on here and talk my talk.
Talk your talk. Just
Um,
be who you are. And people are
yes.
gonna be attracted to you. And then they're gonna try to figure out, they might not even know what you do because
Yeah.
Joy, like, pro tip, some people hit me up and they don't even really know
Right.
what the company does.
They just want to
They
talk to
just be
you.
like, well, I think it's something, but we should talk because I
Right,
think we
right.
have an opportunity. I'm like, cool.
Right.
You don't even really know what we do.
Exactly. They're like, but I know I want to work with you, the
Exactly.
person. They are
Exactly.
attracted to you, the person. No, I love
Yep.
that. And that's great advice. So, you all can find JeNae at J the Word Guru on Instagram and LinkedIn. Y'all tap into that LinkedIn because she's the ultimate storyteller. And again, I dropped the link to buy the book Rise Up by JeNae Johnson and Lisa Nichols. And yeah, we're gonna do this rapid fire and we're gonna get on out of here. Okay, you
All right,
ready?
I'm ready.
All
Yes.
right. Okay, so I'm gonna give you two choices. You pick one. All right.
Okay.
Running or walking?
Oh, power walk every day.
Okay. Champagne or wine?
Is champagne wine?
It
Like
is
that's a
technically so bubbles or like red or white wine.
champagne for
Okay,
sure
champagne.
because
All
it's
right.
always a celebration.
Yes,
So yeah.
exactly. Okay. Talk it out now or need some space.
Ooh, who is it? Like who is it? Who we
I
talking
don't know.
about? It depends on who it is.
That's
Like,
true.
it depends on who, like, how deep is it? Because sometimes I'm gonna talk it out now, but I think I don't know. In my more advanced years, I have become more of a, like, yeah. Let me get back to you because I
Right.
need to really process, and I'm trying to work on being a better person. So
Yeah,
I'm saying, like,
listen.
if we talk now, I don't think this is what you want. If we talk now,
All right.
I need
So we
to
gonna go with
process.
need some space.
Need some space. Yeah, let's go with that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Call or text?
Again, who is it?
See, Janae, I
Who
can't.
who is it though? Who we talking about? Because
Listen.
it's a
Yeah,
short
she
list on the
cutting up
call.
over here.
I am because I need to know context. It's a short list on the calls. I think
Okay.
sometimes things can get from my life is busy, so text
Yeah.
message is always the fastest way to get a
Right.
response. But sometimes I'm texting with somebody and I will pick up the phone and call because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not understanding what we're talking about here.
Right. Right. Okay. I'll let you slide on that.
Thank you.
It is either or. Okay, ma'am. Not
My
and or.
bad. I call outside the lines now. Like you knew who you were getting.
I know. I should have known better.
You should have known.
Okay. Cook at home or dine out?
Dine out.
Okay.
Full stop.
Dancing, dancing or singing?
Ooh. Okay, dancing.
Okay.
Dancing.
Girls trip or solo trip?
Solo trip.
Yes, I'm with
Yeah.
that too.
Solo trip.
Date night out or night in with Bay?
Date night out unless we haven't been in a while.
Right.
Then
Okay.
we need to stay in.
Right. Right. Okay. Take a nap or meditation?
Meditation.
Okay. All right. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. And early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Yes.
Definitely don't. Girl, I don't talk to anybody but Jesus and myself in the morning.
Listen, okay. I'm like, are you breathing? No, because don't. Do not breathe before 10 o'clock,
I
okay?
know. I do that. Yeah. And my husband's the opposite. He's an early bird, so he had to learn early on. Like, baby, we don't talk. Like my two older kids, we would not. We love each other. We would say good morning. It'll be a hug, and that was it.
Right.
That was it.
Because
And
they already
he would
know.
sit up in the bed talking. I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. Can't
Right.
do it.
It's just too much noise
Yeah.
right now
I'm
in the
like,
early morning.
not
I
ready.
can't. I'm not an early morning person either, and I'm just like, please do not ask me difficult questions. I don't schedule meetings before 10
Me
o'clock.
neither. Me neither. There's not. It's literally blocked off
Yeah,
on my calendar. Like it's not.
me too.
You got to get special permission. Like
You got to be on European time or another time zone
something.
to schedule a 9 o'clock meeting with me because I'm like, what? I can't.
Mm-mm.
I'm just now like my brain is just now
Yeah,
opening up at nine
and I'm
o'clock.
I'm meeting with myself at that time. Like I'm in the process of my meeting with me, so I can't meet with
Yes.
you.
Yes. Okay, I love this. All right. So Elsie said, what we see for ourselves is so small compared to what God can do. Absolutely.
That's true.
Listen, look, this has been such a good conversation. Thank you, Janae. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Praise God. There was no
Amen.
echo, no
Come
sound
on
issues.
now,
Come on, no echo.
no echo. Give it up for no echo.
Listen, the fight of this podcast has been the fight of my life in so many ways.
I'm glad
Oh,
you
it's
keep
my
fighting though.
2 year anniversary this week for the
What for the
podcast.
podcast? Oh
I started this
yay!
podcast not January, July. Yes, July 18th, 2 years ago, which is crazy because I can't believe it's been 2 years. It's my 2 year anniversary for Sip with
Wow!
Joy.
Yay!
Yes. Thank
Congratulations!
you so much. So I'm
Yeah, shout out
excited.
to consistency
I
to like
listen
seeing
because I
it
be trying to
through.
quit on them all the
Yeah, I
time.
know.
I'll be like, I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
coming
sure.
back next season, guys.
Maybe like whatever, you coming
Right.
back.
They said, okay. I'm like, do y'all need me to come back? Because I said, it's summertime. Are y'all on here? Because I'm not doing no content in the summertime. And they were like, no, please. So I'm here.
Yeah.
I am here and I'm so glad. See, the last week's episode didn't happen, but look at God. Look what he did.
Yeah. Listen, I didn't know if this one was gonna be able to
Girl, I
happen
know.
because
I
I'm
was like, you
like,
okay over there, girl?
oh, I said, girl, the power came back on last night, so we
Yes.
good to go.
Yes. So I'm so glad we were able to do this. And I will be seeing you soon. It will not be, 7 years.
Yeah, no. And don't play because you know we're running to each other, and I'll be like, now
Right.
joy.
Exactly. No, I listen, we got the phone numbers, the LinkedIn. I got you
Yeah,
locked in now. So there's
locked
no
in.
excuse. There's no excuse. We have
Yes,
to do better. We really do
we
have to do
will. We
better.
will.
So thank you again. Thanks everybody. I'll see you all next week. So instead of last week's episode will be next week. So we're gonna talk about get your shit together next week. Okay. So we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining. Thanks for all the love for JeNae. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.